else to do. Scratch iron.
I understand where your argument is, okay? And I think that's what we have to do. This is, we had our first go through, and now it's time to start looking at it in detail and seeing whatever. The bare bones argument, I mean, Councillor Ullman has given me that argument for 2 years, and I don't doubt it a lot. I happen to work for the government, and I know when I don't have anything to do with preparation of budgets. I'm an operations guy, okay? But I do know one thing. I'm in one of the softest of services. You know what a soft service is compared to a hard service? It's a term that 20 years ago, consultants kept saying, don't use it anymore. Do you know why they said that? It's because what it did, it bastardized, literally, how we looked at what government was. Because, I'll tell you, it used to be Good Roads used to be the biggest convention in town. Why? Because the boys could always get their grader. But if we asked for anything for the arena, Kevin, what did we get told? The deficit was too big. Well, my personal view is, as working in a museum, a soft service where we don't need that service, right? It doesn't demand.
I'm not saying we don't want
No, wait a minute, just let me,
to.
I didn't say you were, I'm talking. Put it in perspective, pretty simple, it's a perspective thing. So, we had many consultants over the years, and I listened to them, and they said, please stop using those terms. Think about it as what you do. You deliver as a government services. You make decisions around the table about how to deliver, as well as why you deliver. But don't mistake the idea of profit-loss statements, revenue or lack of revenue, with hard and soft. And I'll tell you why. It's very simple. We'll take the museum. We can actually bring in revenue from other sources, just like Doug has people come in off the street, or Dave. We can do that. I don't see the roads department, maybe Bill, you've got a new revenue stream that I don't know about, but I've never seen a roads department take in revenue off the street. They don't put tolls up or anything, but we give them revenue through our taxation levy. So I guess you're correct about, you see the increase, but we also had changes in infrastructure. Recreation went up. We had heard all the reasons last year. We heard all the reasons why recreation went up, because the year before it was in a trough, because we weren't providing the services, because one of the facilities wasn't operating. So I guess why I don't like the argument about using that in terms of it, I'd rather go back to, okay, let's look at the units, and I think that's what we call them, the units. We look at the business units individually, we talk and ask the questions as we go through the points. What all I was trying to do was say, if we could set aside something that goes through strategic planning, and we know that we're going to apply it in the long term, we will finish that discussion in strategic planning. But for now, let's go through the budget item by item and get the things in the correct spot so they can get on with their business. That's all I was trying to do. It wasn't a philosophical thing. You know what I mean?
This report is just trying to focus this a little bit and look at all of those things that we think that we want. Because we've got all these projects, they're all over the map, that we want, and they're all good. Okay? So there is, and we still have not gone through the operating budget. There is a comment here in the report that we direct staff to review and reprioritize our projected capital needs. So did you make that motion?
I didn't make a motion. I wanted to see what the discussion about the idea.
Well,
I'll make it a motion that we...
Are you going to make it a motion? Because we'll be here all afternoon.
Wait a minute. And why I wanted to do it as a discussion was this. I don't know the points thing. I understand it kind of half, that, you know, 1 point or half a point, what it does taxation-wise. But I didn't want to get in percentage, I'd get confused going that way. To me, $300,000 was a figure that I could say, you could say $500,000 to John and staff to come back with doing what he's suggesting here, reprioritizing and saying, okay, these are the things that happen. Now, if I'm correct about this, my assumption, and you two are the only ones who can give me guidance on this. A couple of years back, I was thinking 4 to 5 years ago, you had to make assumptions in your budgeting process so you could do the infrastructure programs. Correct? Am I correct?
Absolutely. We
Okay,
had to reprioritize.
Right, that was my point. That's what my
Reprioritize the
point
10-year
is.
capital
My
plans.
point is, we're in this kind of flux state right now. It would make the right smart time to reprioritize using our strategic planning exercise versus arguing around the table. I'd rather go to what she's talking about because she's talking the truth. We haven't done our units yet. We haven't gone by line by line. We've got to do the detail. But let's not confuse ourselves with the dross right now. Make the motion. I'll make it a motion.
What is the motion, John?
$300,000, which is whatever points, $300,000 to $500,000, John has to play with to report back to us on reprioritizing. What he says in the last paragraph on page 2.
So yes.
3% tax rate.
3 points.
300,000, 3% tax
And that
rate.
allows us to get into our
Fine.
for discussion.
for discussion.
Absolutely.
And that takes that off the table
Boy,
today
they
for
never
us to
spent
get.
that much, but I think it's great.
I don't want to spend that much.
Well, it's
That
not
wasn't the
about
idea.
being in blue.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, the idea is for him to reprioritize from their thinking, not my thinking.
I guess I'm thinking, isn't that what this report
That's what
is?
the reports say.
That's what the report is, that these are the prioritized, these are the items that we want to look at, the splash pad for $100,000. Are we gonna make decisions on it, or are we just gonna turn back and say, prioritize these again, because they're there right now?
No, they're not.
No.
Like, we haven't gone through the operating budget and what do you call it, detail yet.
Right.
We have percentages right now in front of
This is
us.
the capital push.
It's all a budget, Bill.
But Mayor Dag,
Well, as I understand it, there are, these have to be integrated, if we choose these, we're integrating into the capital budget, we have to find space in the capital budget by allocating $300,000 to $500,000 in a different way, like push it out for a year or two, is
Just
it
a
not a
report, that's all it
priority
is.
for us?
It's just a report.
And so we need to allow ourselves that, so we'd make a more objective decision about these individually if we know we have the space of $300,000 to $500,000 to include this in the budget. That's my question.
can we go through these and say yes or no, and then see how it fits into the budget?
If they just
Get the
increase it
report
by
back.
5%.
Well, we're
By
planning
5%.
to do that. I was thinking of that, that's
We
the
were gonna-
ultimate goal after you, this is sent to him now, we will do that today, right now, and we'll adjust these. And then the readjusting he's gonna do, the 305, is based on that, not the fact that these are all added to. He makes this, guys, read this, he makes this comment at the end of all of this capital stuff, not at the start. See where I'm going with this? He makes this at the end of a report, not at the start. If he made it at the start, I wouldn't have made that motion.
The motion that I see, some of this is gonna have operating considerations down the road. So I think what Councilor Russell is saying, look, if we're gonna look at these and move them into capital, with ideas down the road for operating, let's look at our operating, but let's move this aside, set aside a piece of money. See what that's gonna reflect on in terms of operating down the road. And then we can come back with this and see what the implications are, and then kind of,
Okay, so
is
after.
that close, John, to it?
Yeah, it's the fact of giving another option while we're
Yeah.
making direction.
Following what John said.
Councilor Owen.
Okay, but if we're going to increase the vehicle and equipment reserve, that's a transfer from operating, that's an increase to the core. That's if it's 100,000, it's 1%, if it's 50,000, it's 0.5. If we're doing the same with the transportation, it's the same, and on we go. And we almost have to give the direction that X percent or X dollars, and how can we reprioritize to do these things that we want to do now? What goes out? That's what we have, the direction we have to give.
Just putting another spot in the direction.
I'll second your motion.
I'm
Mayor
not
Dag.
sure I
I think,
understand.
if I understand you correctly, you don't want to see us increasing 0.5% for every one of these things. You want to give us a buffer that we can allow for each of these things.
John gives it to us right here.
From my perspective, and that's great, from my perspective, you can look at this two ways. You can say, we're gonna agree to spend the money and then find out how we can find money to pay for it. Or we can say we're gonna find money to pay for it, and then we're gonna choose what we're gonna spend it on. And what John's doing is he's saying, let's agree that we have this amount of money allocated because we're gonna reshift our priorities in our existing capital budget, and then we'll decide how we're gonna spend that amount of money.
We're going through.
No, I think it's gonna be fair.
In my opinion, we're going through.
Yeah.
I think
I wish I wouldn't have suggested it.
Nothing wrong with suggesting, I just,
You know, it's a new way of looking at it, I'm sorry, but the suggestion was right here.
I think this is the eternal challenge with council. There's a lot of priorities that have been put on your table. How do you sort those out? There's an acknowledgement that we haven't funded reserves, and funding those reserves comes as a cost. At the end of the day, you want to be able to have a tax rate impact that's palatable and sustainable by the community. So all I was trying to illustrate here is